What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back with some Dead Island 2 gameplay. And before I get started with this video, I just want to thank everyone for helping me reach over 1,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing. I love reading your comments and hearing your perspectives on anything. It helps the channel grow a lot, and I really do appreciate it, so thank you. But now let's get into this video. In Dead Island 2, obviously we have legendary weapons, and this game has a grand total of 8 at this time. And I'm going to be showing off all these weapons and showing them one at a time, seeing what they do, which ones I like, which ones maybe I'm not too good with. But overall, I think they're all unique and different. They all have super special effects. Also, I'm also not going to be modifying any. What you see is what you get when you earn the weapon. You can put modifications on there, obviously, but I'm not going to be putting anything on there. So, as I said, that's basically the personal preference of the player. But also with these weapons, I'm going to be showcasing a little bit of what makes them cool in certain fights and how they can be effective. And let's start off with the very first weapon, the Bloody Rage. And I like this one a lot. It's definitely one of my favorites. It's actually a reference to one of the first characters of Dead Island. And this thing is really good. If you can hit critical shots with this thing, it's really great. Obviously, it has that superior melee puncturator mod. You want to be hitting crit shots with this. The puncture wounds can add up a lot of bleed damage really quick. It also gives you a little agile boost, and it can stack. But basically, you'll see this real quickly. You want to be hitting crit shots with this thing, because when you hit a crit spot, oh my goodness, it's really, really powerful. And also another thing to mention is I do still have some of my skills up there, so some of the stats may be a little bit different. But basically here, you hit a crit shot. It's not the fact that you hit them and that guy just exploded, but it's the fact that when you hit that crit spot, it seemingly stops them right in their tracks. So you can just constantly keep spamming that before they ever hit you one time. And it's just powerful as hell. It's really good. We got a little blubber nugget bloom bloom hiding in the back here. And get him out of here. But it's like bam. So it's like if you can hit those crit spots, guys, you can put down a lot of enemies, and it makes this thing really good. There are a few types that are immune to this, I noticed, obviously with the bleeding effect, so it's a little bit annoying. But obviously you can use other things, but you can get them in like a dodge and a counter and hit them in that way to finish them off. But yeah, they just explode, and it's a satisfying feeling. They hit them right in the head, and as I said before, I can't say enough of how much I like it. It's definitely one of my. I'm gonna say right now, it's definitely one of my favorites, and Aaron, that's pretty cool. But it's definitely a weapon that I would personally go after in a quest you earn to get it. And by the way, let me know if you want me to make videos on showcasing the quest of how do you get these legendary weapons. That's basically how you get all these things. But yeah, you can just run right through it. And also another thing that's cool about this thing is you get knocked down here. I'm not really a big fan of this type of weapon, but this thing is so powerful, it just makes me become a fan of it automatically. And here's a brute, and bam, he's done. Next one is the Brutalizer. Now this should be something I like, because my build is basically built for maiming, basically cutting off limbs. But for some reason, I just didn't get the enjoyment out of this. But it's still good, don't get me wrong. You obviously have Bloodlust, you land critical hits in quick succession, do more limb damage, and that's what you want to constantly be doing. And obviously with the Mutilator mob, you basically want to be weakening them, gaining physical damage boost, and maiming them while gaining that stamina. So it's very good. Do not get me wrong, I'm not saying it's bad. I just didn't have as fun time as the last one, but here we're going to show it off here, and poor Blubber like it gets cut into pieces here. It looks cool as shit, don't get me wrong. It's definitely got a cool look to it. But this thing just really good against the normal zombies, but maybe against the other ones. And it depends. As I said, it depends on build. That's why I said, let me know in the comment section. Maybe this weapon's awesome for you guys. I just didn't have a great time. But that's not to say it's bad. It's not bad in the slightest. It is good, don't get me wrong. But when you're comparing it to all the other legendaries, that's where it comes down to. But definitely against these normal ones, you can definitely go to town with them, and it's definitely satisfying, and just cutting these guys into pieces. But get a little combo dodge here, nice head thing here. But Brutalizer, definitely a cool weapon nonetheless. the body count. Now, I've never been big on guns in Dead Island, but this gun is pretty powerful. It's definitely got that punctuator mod. You have the bleeding effect. I do have trouble sometimes hitting people because I'm not the most accurate with it, obviously, because I'm always trying to hit the head and get those critical shots. But at the end of the day, this gun is really good. You're going to see it real quickly. It does have one thing you got to be aware of, and I'll let you know at the end of this clip here. But here we go. Let's see what it does. And as I said, if you can hit crit shots with this thing, you can put down a lot of zombies in a few shots. It doesn't take long. I'm going to make this, by the way, a lot of explosions here. I'm in a great spot for explosions, but here, and I get jumped by this thing, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty solid gun, as I'm not a gun person personally, but I can recognize this gun is pretty good. Body count is definitely an appropriate name for it. But let's get some tough randoms. We got some normal things. We got a swarm guy here, and you can hit them in the body, and it still kills them, maybe not as fast as crit spots, as I'm not greatest with the iron sights hitting the head all the time. But even with the brute right there, it doesn't take too long to go down. And granted, I know probably the explosions had a little bit of help here to do it, because it seems everyone's just blowing up in this clip. But it's pretty powerful. But if there is one weakness of this thing, and it's not a major weakness in terms of what it does, and if you haven't already noticed it already, is if you're not careful, this thing will go through ammo pretty quickly. It doesn't take long, and I think that's every gun's weakness, I guess, to be fair. But you got to be kind of tactical, because I'm trying to hit the crit spots, and I'm not the greatest at it, so you can save some bullets. But it doesn't take much, and you realize, oh shit, I'm just about ammo. But the body count, I definitely do. It's definitely one of my favorites, and granted, I'm not a big gun person. The party starter. Now, I do like this one a lot, but I'll be the first one to admit, be careful with it, because you can see sometimes, and maybe it's just me, I just get so into just punching things up close and having them explode, because you'll see a lot of explosions here in this clip. But be careful, because I was definitely flirting with life and death a lot of times with this thing. But it's fun as shit, though. The Superior Melee Cremator mod, as I said, ignites people, and it doesn't just ignite the zombie, it can ignite a lot of things. The area effects, you see the fire spreading, so you can definitely have like a whole fire field going on if you hit the heavy shot right there. Bam! Nothing more satisfying than exploding a zombie like that. But as I said, be careful, because sometimes, and maybe it's just me, I just like to go up there and punch the shit out of them and just keep punching, and I keep forgetting, hey, the zombies, they can take a shot and sometimes keep hitting back. But obviously the electricity was not me, but you got so many different zombie types going around. And as I said, I think that's another thing with some of these legendaries you got to be careful with, is it sucks when you got a bunch of firefighters, because obviously they're immune to the fire. But yeah, that right there, that explosion, that's definitely a satisfying feeling. As I said, I like this thing to death, and granted, I'm not the greatest at dodging and not getting hit, but just be careful, because you get so into just punching them non-stop, you're not even paying attention to your health. But I do like this a lot. This thing is a lot of fun, especially when you get that effect of the fire shooting everywhere. The next one is a big shot. And this one, I'm not going to lie, you know what it reminds me a lot like? It reminds me a lot like, if you ever played Borderlands 2, you remember the Unkempt Herald? Not in terms of how ridiculous it is, but just in how it fires, where it's like you got to get that sweet spot with it, where it's like, when you fire it at a range, but it stops at a certain distance, and then when it stops, it explodes. You want to get that sweet spot and when it explodes. And as I said, it only has a 3-round clip, but when you go up to somebody here, it has that whole party explosion. It definitely can stun them too, so that's pretty good. But it's pretty powerful. But you got to hit that sweet spot. That's the only thing. And obviously, you can probably guess the weakness with all the guns is the ammo count. This thing, it eats your ammo really quick, but as you see right here, when I fire it, it kind of missed them. You got to get that spot. And now, granted, you can kind of hit them up close if it does fire them, but if you get that sweet spot, it's really good. Now, here's against a walker, and I just spam the hell out of this, and even with something like that, it brings them down pretty easy, as well as daze them as well. So that's really, really powerful and cool. But as I said, just watch the ammo count. It's a fun weapon. It's really good. But as I said here, as I said, miss that person, but you got to get that sweet spot. I think that's the key there. And if you get that sweet spot and you get a bunch of them, they're all on you, it can definitely give you some breathing room to get them off you. But I like the big shot a lot, obviously, because it reminds me of that Unkempt Harold in a way, but it's a lot of fun. And here we're going to take out this last person here. It takes a few shots to get them, but as you notice, I'm just about out of ammunition, so watch your ammo count, but nonetheless, really powerful and a lot of fun to use. But I definitely prefer the big shot. Next we have the Krakatoa. Now this might be the coolest looking of the weapons, and it's got a really cool effect when you'll see it when you swing it around because it has a fire. Once again, be careful because I definitely got myself on fire a lot of times because you're hitting all these zombies because you're setting them on fire. But it's cool as crap, especially when you hit them. And obviously good for maiming as well, good for my build personally. And we hit heavy damage, additional fire limb damage, and it can stack. And you'll see here when you get this thing going, it's a lot of fun. It looks cool as crap. And that's another thing about these weapons I need to go more in detail into, is just how cool it looks when you ignite their abilities. And you can see the edge of the axe. It looks really, really awesome. I'll show you it more at the end of here. But yeah, it just creates a whole fire field. And granted, this is kind of more my style weapon, the heavy two-handed thing. I do like the one-handed weapons, don't get me wrong, but the two-handed things, I don't know, there's just a satisfaction. I mean, right there, explosion, you can feel it really, you can just basically feel the power coming off, and great for just enemies, especially if they're really immune to fire. If they're immune to fire, obviously not, but like they're weak to it, or they can be afflicted on it, definitely good for you. Here we're going to fight a butcher, and these butchers, they can be a pain in the ass. If this guy jumped on top of me and I wouldn't get off me, but yeah, so be careful with your health and with the fire. You don't want to have that damage. But other than that, it's really powerful. I like it a lot here. And it's just a complete fire field. It looks cool shit with a glowing effect. And here's what I was telling you about earlier is I've been around. You see that fire in the axe. It looks awesome as hell. Definitely the coolest looking weapon, bar none. That's awesome. Just be careful with the fire and the spread damage. But definitely really powerful, especially if you got a bunch of enemies that are not immune to fire. Next is Sam B's weapon, the Emma's Wrath, and this is a really powerful weapon. A cool effect with this is if you do a counter or you do a head stomp, your next shot will basically ignite a shotgun blast, and it's pretty powerful. But even without that, just anytime you hit somebody with this weapon, they're going to be feeling it. There's so much force behind it, and it's really powerful. And also, I get a moderate toughness gain, so that helps out my build personally. But bam, right there, you just see it. That was just a charged up hit, and I'm going to try to do a counter here, but obviously failed miserably because I suck. But let's see if we can't get somebody else. But eventually, once you get them in an animation or you do a skull scump, you will trigger the shotgun blast. And I try to get a Hofstra, but I miss him, and I hit the other person, but don't worry, I will get them eventually. Here, get another dodge counter here, and that shotgun blast is powerful as crap and satisfying as hell to use. But let's try it out on a brute or crusher. And oh my god, do you see what happened to his arm? I can only imagine how painful that would be in real life. I mean, it's basically like he has no bone anymore. I mean, he's basically like Gumby now, but good lord, as I said, the animations, some of these crit shots and limb maiming is amazing in this game. But nonetheless, you just see right here is just, you can absolutely just go to town with a lot of these zombies, and it don't take much. But obviously not the fastest. It is a two-handed thing, but as I said, this is more my style of things. I said before, that two-handed stuff, getting those heavy attacks, and especially when we hit the crit shots. And we got Blubber Nugget here, and we bring him down to his knees, and he just don't have a chance. He's just getting bodied here. But yeah, Emma's Wrath, really powerful. But of all the legendaries, this one is my personal favorite, the one. Why is it my favorite? Well, one, it does help me in my build the most, but it's a maiming machine. It can give me regain my stamina when I have some limbs and critical shots with the maiming. Obviously, decapitating gives me forceful explosions and can regain my health and stamina. The heavy attacks are charging faster, and it also gives me a moderate boost of toughness, which helps me out because I do play Amy. But also, watch this. What the hell killed me? I don't know. It's like I'm about to test this out, show it off, and I just died. I don't know what happened there. I guess it really isn't the one, but anyway, all joking aside, this thing I just love it to death. It's just to me, and that's that green effect, regaining stuff, but the stamina and health. But this thing is just a maiming machine. As I said, maiming is kind of my whole purpose here, what my whole build is built on, and but that's why I was telling you guys earlier. As I said, a lot of this stuff it doesn't mean that any of the legendaries before aren't good enough. It's just that this one kind of fits my build and what I personally want to do, which is why I obviously want you guys to tell me which ones fit your personal build, which makes this whole thing fun because you can have so many different ways depending on how you build your character, which character you use, and whatnot. But just the one, for me personally, it just satisfies most of my stuff that I want to do. Because I take a lot of damage. I'm not the greatest in the world at not taking damage. And granted, I am playing as Amy, so I don't have high toughness. So this gun gives me some toughness, but also keeps me alive. I can dish out damage while also regaining my stamina, while also regaining my health, and constantly be maiming people, which is just really easy with this thing. And it's why it's easily my favorite and the one I use the most. And after I've beaten a game of any of the legendaries. But as I said before, that's my opinion. I want to hear what your guys' opinions are. Which is your favorite legendary weapon to use in this game, and what type of builds do you guys use to get the most out of that weapon? Because honestly, I don't think there's a bad legendary. I think all of them can be used, and they can be really good. But depending, I guess, who you play as and what your skill tree is going to be the biggest thing. As I said, my personal favorites, I love the Blood Rage a lot. I think that's a close second. The body count was really fun. I obviously like Krakatoa, but the one for me is personally the one that I guess is the one that gets the most use out of, for me personally, depending on how I play and what I do. But I want to hear your guys' opinions. Which one is your favorite legendary? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And that is going to be it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back on the next one. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and hope to see you all later. Peace.